I will be done by 5:30.
You
All right,
didn't
let's
laugh.
start. All right, so we've got an executive, we're gonna start with an executive session to discuss a legal matter. So,
I make a motion to go into executive session in accordance with 1 MSRA 4056E to discuss a legal matter.
you have a second?
Second.
Can I have one?
Yes,
All in favor?
there's four right there, yeah.
All in favor?
Do you want the phone?
No, we don't need the
I just
phone.
got,
No.
I just printed the,
This won't be long.
What's that?
I just printed the agenda.
All right, move on to approve the minutes of, we're out of executive session. Approve the minutes of the meeting last month.
Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 9th, 2022. 19.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Okay. Financial report, Tanya?
All right, revenues are favorable, $147,000 with increased gallons sold driving that, which that is helping to offset our variance in expenses, which is now up to $182,000. Capital spent to date is $512,000, and the 120-day past due receivables is coming down. Some of the old leaned properties are reconnecting to water service.
How many have taken advantage of that program?
Not many. There has been very, very little response to that. There's been, I think we've had 6.
That's
all.
all. How many
It is.
total did you have?
Well, you're talking about the water assistance program, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm talking about that federal program where you can
6?
apply.
6, yes. So far,
Wow.
and we send out around 200 disconnects every month.
Now, we sent letters to
So-
the ones that have liens and said, remind them that this is available to them.
We have not sent any notification to customers that their water is shut off, because that's a little bit different.
So it is, once it's shut off, they're not.
Well, if it's shut off for disconnection and non-payment, but the liens are on properties that have been disconnected for more than 3 months.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So again, we're 181 high on expenses.
Yes.
I see the payroll, and then it looks like the UV plant, and it's several things.
UV plant is mainly chemicals.
Is
Those
it
are,
something we missed the mark on when we were
it is.
proposing? We didn't realize
Chemicals
that.
have gone out of
Yeah.
control. Out of control. They've quadrupled in price, and it's not gonna get better next year.
Is it gonna
Some of the
continue to
price,
raise, or-
it's looking like now it's gonna continue to rise, we've been warned.
You'll see when we do the new draft of the budget between last month and this month, when we printed this, it's more bad news on chemicals. They're just,
And we don't have many choices of
No.
vendors, right?
We have many
Chris-
choices on vendors, a lot of them have shut down and said, we can't supply you anymore.
Okay.
Chris Curtis he's doing an unbelievable job making sure that all the supplies are there when they should be. He's constantly on the phone trying to work some deals to get chemicals, and it's not easy.
Do you foresee us not being able to get?
We ran out of one chemical this year, we ran out of
Yeah,
fluoride.
yeah.
And that's a concern, we actually talked internally. There may be something we need to get with our local, like main water utilities and come together and, start raising that flag up and making sure that people recognize the seriousness of this. Not being able to get bulk sodium hypochlorite, caustic soda to get these things that we need to treat the water. This is not just an Auburn Lewiston problem. That's a big problem. Everybody in the state uses sodium hypochlorite for disinfectant, and if you can't get it, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
What?
Is it a national problem or a regional
It's
problem?
certainly a regional in the Northeast, and a lot of it was blamed on rail shutdowns and strikes and supply
But
chain
there was no rail
issues.
strike.
I'm just going on by what
Right.
we're told by our suppliers.
Yeah, well, there was no strike. They threatened it, but they did not follow.
No, we belong to like a regional water organization.
We could, but we do not, because historically their prices have been higher than.
Well, I'm just talking about
what we
an
pay.
organization like that. Isn't there like a group that we belong to?
Yep,
or-
two.
American Water
Yep.
Works Association, Maine Water Utility Association.
Right, those
That's what Mike was referring
Those
to.
organizations can't help you. They have no answer.
Well, that's
They're
where
saying-
we're going to take this next. This needs to get raise up the
because I'm
flagpole
thinking
as an
that
issue.
We're getting gouged and, just like
Right.
anything else, maybe there's no way around it, but boy, if we're a big enough group, you would think, all these water districts all need the same
Well, yeah,
product.
what are they gonna say? We're not gonna buy from you anymore, that's okay.
No, I'm just saying they can find out what's going on and see if
It's
there's
a lot
price
of-
gouging going on or something that
Yeah.
that can be looked at from a regional or eastern coast or national level.
The price gouging is concerning enough, the supply or lack thereof is even more.
Well, we're in hurt there because we gotta
Right.
buy it when we can get it, I know that, that puts us in a bad spot.
And the good news, we're still up 3.1 million.
In our cash?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have that on hand, yeah.
Now, are these US, United States providers?
Yes, on all.
Is there any place in Canada we can get the same?
I don't believe any of the suppliers, they don't manufacture it there.
Okay, no.
No.
Just a thought.
Well,
Reach-
appreciate all you're doing, just get everybody involved, anybody that call our legislatures, I don't care who it is.
Well, that's where it would go after Maine Water Utilities, that's where it would
Golden should be
branch
happy
to.
to help us out somehow, and make sure he knows what's going on.
Right.
This is a serious thing, and about as serious as it comes.
That's all I have.
Okay, everybody all set with that? Okay, ratify payment of bills,
I
thank you,
move
Tanya.
that we ratify the payment of bills.
Okay, so I get a second? Two, somebody?
Sure. Yeah, I'll say that.
Second. Anybody have, you had all your questions?
I didn't have any, thank you.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Anybody else have anything?
I didn't have anything on the list.
All in favor? Okay. Public comment. So, we got a couple of folks here.
Yeah, I had emailed you my questions. Don't know if you received the email, but, so it's just a couple. Last week I attended the Lake Auburn Watershed Protection Commission meeting. And Commissioner Bilodeau said that all watershed zoning and boundary decisions are now made by the city, and the Auburn Water District had voted to accept their decisions. So I was just wondering when that vote came down and how it is that you relinquished the authority that you have in your charter to the city. But that's what he said at the meeting.
Okay, Pam?
Well, that's the first I heard of it. I'm really concerned about that. I was here just to listen. And so I'm going, yikes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I would, if we can answer it, Mr. President.
Sure.
I mean, the only thing I can say right now is, and it puts us in a really bad spot, because we've been under litigation for about 3 months. And the litigation has to do with just what they're talking about. So we are in a bad spot where we can't talk about it openly, only in executive session or in mediation about what's going on in that whole area. It's sad, because again, they may think they're doing something good by suing us, but what this does is put a gag order on everybody.
You will, and there is, if you look through, I will add this, I don't know what you're referring to specifically, but I think if you're referring to, there was a meeting in April, I think, where there was a vote made to support the change in what the city did. So if you want to find out what we did, it's on public note, it's in, you can look at the videos. All the videos are on the website.
And it was one of the April meetings?
I don't know exactly the date.
It's around
It was
there.
somewhere around there.
Mark?
It was at AvCog, I think.
Yeah.
It was at,
At AvCog. I think you were probably there.
I would have remembered that if they were allowing the city to choose. When did this,
I just like, I disagree with the premise of the question. So that's what I'll say. It's not, we're not allowing anybody to make any decisions. That, we're not saying somebody else gets the authority to make the decisions. I disagree with that fundamental.
I
That
didn't-
fundamental, so I let you have yours. I answered the question the best I can, and it's not gonna be a discussion and a back and forth. We got a lawsuit, but I disagree with the premise.
it's that,
But I didn't say it. He said it.
Well, I don't know what he said. You're saying what he said, and I didn't.
You can look at the video
Well,
from
I don't
last
need
week.
to. I know what I did.
Watershed
I know what we
Protection
did,
Commission.
Bruce, so that's it.
You
So-
know, I didn't say it, Steve.
Look, Bruce,
He said.
you're saying what somebody else said, so I'm saying what you're bringing forward. All I'm saying is I don't agree with whatever the interpretation is, and if that's what Dan said, then I don't agree with Dan.
We,
So,
Well, the reason I said it is because it puts this charter
it's,
in jeopardy.
Bruce, we're done with public comment.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the city council meeting.
Okay, activity report.
All right, your activity reports. We've wrapped up some of our main replacement projects. We're still working, we've got some paving to do tomorrow. I got double reports. We've been getting a lot of the hydrants repaired, services fixed, just trying to get the last of the stuff that requires any digging. So you'll see a lot of services that we dug and repaired, and this happens every year. We just try to scramble to get as much as we can done before you can't pave. So I don't know if anybody had any questions on the activity report specifically. I don't think we had anything too notable, knock on wood, no big.
On services,
Questions?
Mike, second page, very top, second one down, 481 Washington Street. Replace missing MXU.
So those are the outside readers on the homes, the little radio unit, and they go missing from time to time. People do siding, and maybe it gets tossed away with the old siding. So yeah, that's what that was.
Thank you.
any update on 555 Court Street?
Yes, we are going to talk about that in project. Do we have a specific budget for that? Or item for it? I'm going into project update now. So we did get out into Hotel Road, and we started separating services from an old main that we want to abandon onto a new main. So we've been doing that. We have about 30 services to do, and then that'll eliminate almost 6,000 feet of water main. So that'll be a really good project. That section of road is scheduled to be paved, and we want to get all the services off that old main before that gets done. So that's our goal. So that's the last of the construction projects. We have been working, we've had a couple of meetings with the folks at Stable Ridge, 555 Court Street. We did give them a punch list of things that we need in order to make this all happen. So it's a laundry list of things, just different things with the pump controls, the pumps themselves, the building, easements. If we're going to own it, we need to have the right to own and maintain. We need that easement. They are working on all of those things. The meeting that we had with them, they did indicate that they, while it's not their first choice, they would pay the fee that we designated to take over perpetual ownership and maintenance. We did get from them a list of the building and pump costs, so we were able to update our cost sheet. So we updated that, we got that to them. I was told yesterday that they will have all of the stuff ready by Friday, and they're going to want to execute that agreement. So it's looking like things are coming together. Everything has checked out that they've given us so far. On Friday, when they hand over all this stuff, we'll have to go through that all with a fine-tooth comb, make sure it's all there, and I suspect that may be on the agenda for the next meeting.
For us to decide which way we're going to.
Yeah, we'll present it to you. We have this agreement. We have this cost estimate. This is what we've done. Here's all the materials they've given us. We've gone through everything. Execute the agreement. So
They don't really want to own that pump station, do they?
No.
They don't want, they want us to take care of it.
Correct.
And, yeah.
Don't blame them.
Oh, that's what I mean, yeah, they don't want any part of it, because if there's issues, then we have to deal with it, not them.
So yeah, so that's progressed. So that's all I had for the project update.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, and we're gonna move on to old business. We got an executive session in accordance with MRSA 4056A, to discuss a personnel matter. Is there a motion? Somebody want to move?
I move that we move into executive session in accordance with MRSA 4056A to discuss a personnel matter.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? And we are in executive session. We are out of executive session.
basically the, we're not the.
Yes.
Item 9, possible follow-up. Yep.
Alright. I'm gonna make a motion that we. Cameras on?
Everything's on, yep, we're out of executive session, so.
Making a motion that we accept Mike Broadbent will be assuming Sid's position of superintendent on 1/7/2023 and accept the preliminary terms discussed in executive session.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, anybody have any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, passed.
Welcome aboard.
Yes. All right, new business, water quality updates.
Still.
As you'll see in the memo, the lake is slowly, it was a very warm November, as you all know, this week notwithstanding. But the lake is mixed to around 19 meters. It is slowly cooling off. This is about the time of year we expect turnover, but the warm November certainly delayed that a bit. Secchi disc readings are still hovering around 4 meters. Turbidity is still holding at about a 1. The dissolved oxygen near the bottom of the lake is near 0, so we are approaching anoxic conditions. I think this week is certainly going to help. If we have current temperatures that stay like they are, down near freezing, I think we should see lake turnover soon. That's going to be the big thing that helps the lake. Once that lake turns over, it's going to oxygenate the whole lake, and that's what we normally get this time of year. The sooner the better. If we have this condition that we're in right now, and that occurred in August or September, we'd be in a pretty bad situation, kind of like we were back in 2012. But given the time of the year, it's a good thing. The days are shorter. Should be getting colder, so I do expect to see that turn around. That's kind of it on the water quality update. Unless there's any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Nope, just keep watching it.
Oh, yes.
Okay, second draft of the budget.
Yep, you'll see in your packet, everyone should have the second draft of the 2023 budget. Last one was October, this one is November 10th. This one includes some things which we did not quite have completed in the last one. So what you've got in front of you, with the exception of one line item, should be what we're planning to present as a final draft. Some of the numbers that you will see in the 2023 column are changed a little bit from last month, because we did change the year-end projection a little bit. Tanya was able to go in and see some of the accounts and update them based upon how they're trending, so you'll see some of those numbers tweaked a little bit. As we mentioned earlier, the biggest change that you're going to see, and it's not even reflected in this draft that you have on the overall sheet, the first sheet really, we're looking to up the UV treatment plant budget. The copy you have is $398,760. We're looking to update that number to $431,000, and that's due to the rising chemical costs that we had talked about. So that's up around $32,300 more than the October draft that we gave you. One thing that this version does include is an equipment list. The last one did not. This one includes the proposed equipment that we're looking to purchase in the coming year. And if you got a chance to look through that, but that is the second to the last sheet. It's got the water district expenditures proposed in the Auburn sewer district proposed, and then some of those items are shared 50-50 depending on what they are and how they're going to be used. We tried to make sure that the equipment budget came in line with some of the previous year's expenditures. There were a lot of things that we did not prioritize, and those are going to be held off for another time. But these are the items that we felt made the cut and things that we do need in the coming year. variety of things. It's, paying off the excavator. The large dump truck is in year 2 of 7. Battery replacements up at the UV. A lot of items that the lab does need. Things for the crew as well.
So when I look at this one, it's always confusing to me when I see like, you got a number of $30,000 for labor on vehicles and equipment. But that's not part of the front page salaries?
You're on page 1, second page,
Well,
again,
when
from
you
the
look
top.
at, when you look at the budget for capital items, the last item,
Last item, labor
on
and
vehicles and equipment, $30,000. But of course, is that part of, when you go to page 1 and the payroll is $1,039,000? Is that 30,000 part of that front page?
No.
So, well, I
Just like projects, we allocate those to the projects. Equipment maintenance, we allocate to equipment maintenance.
So that's not, so this number we look at, total payroll, is not really total payroll. If that doesn't include payroll used for projects and other things.
Those are outside contract services for?
This says employees, in-house.
But
In-house?
Well,
In-house work on equipment.
if that's in-house use, and it's, but it's not.
That should be
included
under
in payroll. That $1,039,000.
It's really
But
$1,069,000.
you tell me the other jobs that we do are not part of that $1,039,000 either. If it's part of employees, it shouldn't be, included in the capital budget and in the front page.
it's
You might
not.
allocate some of this
So
$1,039,000
total
to other
payroll,
jobs.
water total payroll is $1,200,000. It's at the top of the blue box on the payroll. And then you can see we subtract the allocation to projects, what we're gonna job out, to customers, to vehicles, and watershed.
I see, so the actual, this front page is not total payroll.
No,
That's fine.
and you can, it's reflected on the payroll summary.
Always get confused about that, because it's money somewhere else, but it's not expensed until we put it in the budget. Okay.
Also included in this budget is, even though, as you know, it's not approved as part of this budget, we do have in here our tentative capital improvement list. There's a variety of different projects in here. Some is main replacement, some is associated with some of the city projects that will be going on. We've also got a few items in there for chemical treatment as well, chlorine analyzers.
Oh, the pollen booster,
Right.
chlorine
Yeah,
analyzer,
right.
yeah. Hard scrabble, booster, chlorine analyzer.
Right. So again, these are in there sort of as a placeholder. Those would come up on an individual basis next year as they come around to be funded. We'll bring those up for individual approvals.
Same thing with the hard scrabble check valves.
Yep, anything on this list we would bring back for approval once we have a better handle on it. This is just a list to work on. As you know from previous years, we put this list in as best we can, but until the actual time hits, we never know exactly if it's gonna be a go or not. There's a number of factors that go into it, whether or not, the priorities shift. If there's a city project that for some reason gets put on hold or put ahead or put back, we need to be flexible on allocating this money towards them.
So what was last year's total for water district projects?
That's on your,
I think it was 1.3, wasn't it?
Last year, 2021's total expenditure, capital, you're asking?
No, this year, what we're currently, the year
Oh,
we're currently in, we're almost finished.
Oh.
Where is it? I guess I can find
917.
it. $1 million.
Difficult to figure out this year. This year's not done yet. 2021 they can do.
Oh, we budgeted 1.4,
We
1.39.
budgeted $1.4 million for pipe replacement, right?
Yeah.
And now we're talking $660,000?
Well, 2 of these projects you're getting for a much lower cost than excavation and replacement. Minot Ave to Merrill Road on Hotel is an eliminating a main. So you're doing 30 services, and then you can eliminate 5,300 feet of pipe. Same thing in Taylor Pond, that's actually a seasonal main. It's all galvanized pipe right now, and we're having a lot of rust issues with it. But that is only a few feet deep, and it's not under a paved surface. And it's a lot cheaper to replace that than if you dig and trench down a paved street. So you're gonna be saving some money next year on some of these projects and getting the benefit of the footage and getting that pipe replaced.
It just seems that's a huge parity.
Is that gonna
1.4
stay
million
seasonal?
1 year and 660,000.
We had bigger projects eyed for next year, but they, like everywhere, the cost of things is through the roof. And the city was gonna be doing 2nd Street, Dunn Street, and they were gonna be doing, begins with an L.
Lucille?
No, they were gonna be doing another one, and they cut all of those because of the cost. So they're only gonna be doing 2nd. So rather than being able to partner on those streets, if we went and did those alone, the cost to us would be way higher, because now we have to pave. You know, we can partner with them, we don't have to pave, that we save money, it makes good sense, let's do it.
Right.
But where they're only doing a very small area next year, we have to find a way to do it on our own without breaking the bank.
What's that L Street, a 2-inch?
No, it's an 8-inch main, but it's,
Oh, it's a main, oh, it's side street,
And I
okay.
can't do any more, obviously, personnel, whatever, we can't do any more. So what we're able to do is the same amount of mileage or feet of pipe for a lot less money.
lowering, that was it, sorry.
Lowering.
Lowering.
I think one thing, given,
We talked about $1.2 million, and we upgraded everything, and we actually bonded to get ready for this, and we're all ready for these huge numbers. And I just want to make sure that we're replacing what we can, capable of doing.
I feel we're capable of doing this next year. To do any more than that, I mean, we could shift, we're not set on these, we could pick on others, but it's gonna cost us a lot more because we won't be able to partner with anybody on them. We're gonna take that project on our own.
Asphalt's
We
so
have to pay.
expensive.
Well, I mean, there's other pipe, we have some old pipe in the ground that we can.
Well, we have plenty of old pipe, you know, but it's just we'll pay the full price as opposed to when we partner or when we join a project.
Well, I do understand that.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if it's worth waiting all that time too. If we have the money available, it looks like we have, when you look at last year's budget, 1.34 million, not only 660, we would think that we would have room to do some more projects.
I think we would, to your point, I mean, if you look at this,
Look at the money.
if you look at how the cash,
That's what I mean.
change of cash
is
after
there.
capital is, I mean, we're gonna have a surplus given that
That's
amount.
what I
So
mean.
there could be some opportunities for
I
adding
think
some
we
projects
should.
to
I
it.
mean, really, you should look at that and increase, get rid of some of
And-
the crappy
and
pipe
that's-
while we
and
have the
that's-
money to do it.
Contracting out opportunities?
Are you able to get pipe?
Well, there's gonna be a lot of variables, and I like the idea that that's open and we move into it, and we will seize those opportunities if we can, but I can't, I will certainly bring it forward to this board before we undertake something like
No, of
that, so that
course,
we
yeah.
understand the financial impact of it, because I will tell you, it will be significant. Right now, they're projecting cost of farming out work at $250 to $300 a foot. If we
Yeah.
go out on our own, that's what we're gonna pay. We can do some of these projects, 5,300 feet for $200,000, that's,
That's a hard
let's
one.
get that done, and
Yeah.
that's right down Hotel Road, that's a valuable,
No.
let's get that done,
Do we
that's
do that
very
inventory
important.
of pipe and where it is and
Yeah,
the worst is?
we've
and
got our
we know-
water capital
We
improvement
should
plan,
know
we've
at the
got,
top what's
Yep.
the worst, and maybe we can start chipping away at some of that worst if it's not on this list already.
all of this stuff is on that list for a reason, this is all the top, let's get this stuff done.
Okay.
But if we can add more and we have money available, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, I don't know how the board feels, but I just feel like that we expected at least 1.2 a year to get the job done. If we're getting a deal this year, let's take advantage of that and maybe do a little bit more done. Doesn't have to be 2 miles, even though we asked for 2 miles, if it's 2.5 miles or 2.25, that's better, I think, right?
Yeah, if we can do it.
For our infrastructure and everything else. Okay.
Any other questions on the,
Anybody else have any questions?
We're not gonna have another meeting until we're actually gonna ratify this, right?
yep, what we normally do is that's one thing I wanted to bring up. If you look at the bottom of the agenda, I do have next month's meeting there, and forgive me, I can't remember specifically if we did agree to move the date of next month's.
I thought we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I thought
did.
we did. All right, so we've got,
Yeah, we did.
the joint meeting, the next meeting for the district is gonna be on December 14th. At 5:15, there is going to be a joint budget workshop with the sewer district. 5:30, there will be a public hearing followed by budget adoption. So that will be at 5:30. That's going to be December 14th.
Well, one last question before the payroll. It says implement salary survey. Are we gonna get a copy of that survey? We can get one?
I can, the way that worked, I can get you one, yes. What the final result of that was, she tweaked all of the job descriptions, so we have updated job descriptions. Also, came up with a new pay grid with a recommended starting salary of each classification within that grid. And so that field was populated from there using the same step scale that we have now. So I do have an updated
Yeah.
grid.
Okay.
If you want to see that, I
I'd
can
like
get
to
that.
see that.
Yep.
And then, of course, we talked about the retention bonus, and that's something we did last year. Did we do a COLA and a retention bonus this year again?
What we did this year, as you know, the CPI, I think it was at 8.7 this year. As it turned out, when we looked at that new grid with a new pay structure on it, plugged all the employees into that new pay grid, that came up roughly where the CPI would have came anyway. So, with the implementation of that, this does not include a COLA. It's basically implementation of the grid, and that will put us in line with where that.
So we're gonna be in line with inflation, but we're also gonna add retention on top of that?
Yep.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, we did it last year because we knew a big wave was coming.
We did.
That we needed to make sure we were covered and we had the ability to save employees, and I agree with that. But if we're already raising salaries to a COLA, to a CAPIU, and then we're gonna add a retention bonus on top of it, isn't that overkill?
No, because, well, there's a couple ways to look at it. One thing that happened when this new pay grid was put in, it was put in prior to anything concerning the CPI. And after that was completed, that was a specific question I had for the consultant. You know, a lot of the districts are looking at implementing some type of COLA at the beginning of the year. And that's, so the new pay grid put us in line with where our peers are now. That was before the COLA. So that's why I felt that retention bonus was still needed to be put in there.
I guess
That's
that's-
gonna,
I don't know if we should call it, do we have to call it a retention bonus if it's actually just like we're kind of considering it the next COLA?
Well, I just don't want it to be every year we're gonna raise
No,
salaries
because
to a certain level.
The
that
COLA
we're gonna
means
keep-
we're raising their wage.
To
The
that
bonus means they're just
8.7%.
getting the money, but the
Right,
wage
so-
stays the same.
yeah,
So
so I
we
put
don't
it
have
in,
to do that.
and I put it in there
Okay,
so
right.
that it wouldn't raise the base wage, and that's something you could determine every year.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
you said that the salary study brought everybody above, or at the COLA, you didn't need a COLA because the salary study brought everybody where they should be based on inflation. And the whole idea of having the retention bonus was to make up for inflation, to retain employees.
Right, so we didn't do
Now we're
COLA
doing
yet.
both. You did it last year, but does it really make sense to do another 5% or whatever?
We're
it
not
was?
doing a COLA, it's just a bonus.
But we're doing the retention, the salary,
About the
implement
bonus.
salary study that equaled the COLA.
I think as a result of this, this is gonna put us in line with our peers at the bottom line.
Well,
For me.
I just don't wanna see this year after year that we're gonna go, well, your COLA's 8%, we're gonna do that plus a retention bonus for 5% on top of that, do that year after year, and it just doesn't make sense.
Look at it
We
next
are in
year.
a very, very tight market right now. We're very lucky to keep the people that we have, and
Well, I just,
I think we're not keeping up. We're hearing grumblings now, so it's, I think unless we push something like this, we're gonna be, I think.
so the salary study was inadequate, it's saying that it didn't bring us up to where
Well,
we should be according
no,
to our peers.
Well, it is when you implement the retention bonus as well. I think that keeps us in
Well, you
line.
didn't say that, so that means we had to do both to get to COLA. This year, you
Well,
said,
to get in line with what our peers are doing in regards to the COLA. A lot of them are doing, some of them are implementing the 8.7%. Some of them are under contract as unions. So I think this retention bonus will make us whole in terms of the other utilities of what they're doing.
We need to retain our skilled and
Well,
valued
I know.
employees, because we're already short,
Yeah.
we're continuously short one position anyways.
But you look at
And
the
we-
difference in payroll from 2022 to 2023 is over $1 million. That's a 11 to 12% increase, just in that alone.
We're probably not alone there either.
But it's an 8% COLA, but we're gonna go up 12% because it's an 8% inflation rate.
Well, the retention bonus, we're just looking from year to year.
Was the
Well,
retention bonus?
Our
looked at
employees,
in the-
our employees were, the last time we did that salary survey was in 2018. We haven't touched it since then. And we had fallen pretty severely behind in terms of our peers, because just about the time we adopted that, I mean, the next year, you just start to fall behind, and that's where we were.
Right, and I agree with what we did there with the salary survey, and we brought everybody up, and it actually replaced the 8 and 7% COLA. But now, on top of that, we decided to go with the retention.
Did the findings in the salary study mention and discuss the salary, the retention bonus?
If it was included, it equaled an 8 or 9% increase. I just don't see that in the numbers here, but if those two together equals inflation, then but you didn't say that. You said the retention, the salary study took us up to the inflationary number.
No,
With our
the
peers.
salary survey brings us to our peers right now. We're not implementing
Before the
the COLA,
COLA.
before the
Did you
COLA.
see the study?
Right now, that brings, we just conducted the study, it's done, our peers haven't done a COLA yet. They're all doing a COLA at the first of the year. That's when we said, oh, well, we're not doing a COLA because we want to do this 9.5, so what are we gonna do? We're not gonna do 9.5 and an 8.7, so we're gonna do 9.5 and we're gonna do the retention. And that will keep the base wage from being elevated, and, you know, then we're stuck with it. You raise the wage, then you're stuck with it.
All right, well,
I mean, I know where you're coming from, but I mean, we can't beat the dead horse. I mean, it is what it is.
One thing I'm requesting, I don't know if everyone is comfortable with that number that we have there, but one thing I would like to do, and one thing I brought up to the sewer trustees last night, we're not gonna be approving this budget until December. However, I would like to meet individually with employees prior to December 14th. There's a lot of meetings to have with employees. I'd like to bring individually employees in and talk to them about where they are in this process. And if I wait till the 14th, I'm not gonna have time to do that between the time it gets implemented. I want people to understand and feel comfortable with where they are in the pay scale, so.
So you want to implement the pay scale adjustments with each employees? I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying.
It wouldn't take effect until the beginning of the year.
Right, but you want to do what the
I
pay
want to at least
scale
alert them
adjustment
to-
to 9%, to 9.5, plus you want to let them know about the retention bonus.
The way what's gonna happen is implementing this pay scale, it's, whenever you implement a new pay scale, everything is not exactly perfect and consistent and even.
Right.
Back when we did the pay grid back in 2018, the consultant at the time simply recommended taking the existing pay grid, adding 6% to it, and that's our new pay scale. That was okay, but it also didn't address some of the employees who might have been off scale or between some steps and whatever. This new pay scale puts everyone exactly on the step they should be in, given their job description. Implementing that, everybody is making out well, I will say, with implementation of this, but not everyone is the exact same percent. So I wanted to meet individually with people and show them exactly where they would be.
I think that makes sense.
Explain that to them.
Explain
I mean, because not everybody's the same, so everyone's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah,
I don't know about,
Otherwise, it's mutiny if they, what, you got what?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
and how do you explain the
I think that's a
retention
good idea.
bonus to people? How does that, do you not?
well, that's a,
I
what
thought
I,
that was you stay a quarter and you get a bonus for staying the quarter.
right,
the
and
quarter.
and we did that last year, so they know what that is. Last year, it was actually more, it was a $3,200 retention bonus, they got in quarterly increments, so it was $800 per quarter. What I'm proposing here is a $2,000 retention bonus, so it's $500 every quarter.
And that's every employee.
Yep.
So, you know, even our lowest paid employees,
Right.
it's about trying to
Get
put,
the same
now
amount for the
$6,400 in 2 years has been given to them in retention bonuses, on top of any
And
other
we've kept them.
increases. We kept them,
That's
but
the
I'm
big
just
thing.
saying,
We've kept
We understand.
somebody's gotta keep their eye on the ball. I just,
Andy, we got it, it's the world we live in, I understand, no matter how many times we say it, it's gonna say it.
So
It's the world we live in.
Well, no, I think that, you gotta think, I don't feel convinced that it's completely that way.
Well, at least the retention bonus, that can change, you know, it's not,
Well, no,
I'd rather
what's
rather
gonna
do
be
that
used to it?
rather
It's
than
not a COLA.
2 years in a row, it's not gonna be taken away.
well, that's gonna be up to the board.
The board decided on this.
Well, we can't talk about it now,
No, no,
so,
no.
yeah, I mean,
It's done.
I think it's, we need to just think about it. I don't think it's necessarily, I just wanna see the salary study, that's what I'm hoping
Yeah,
for.
well, hopefully we'll see that.
So I think that, if that addresses this, if it talked about it, that's fine. I just wanna read
The
what the
only-
opinion was about it.
The only product that came out of that is a new pay grid and the revised job descriptions, so I can share that. That's all I really got from it. I didn't get any detailed report or narrative from it, but
No executive summary?
no. I guess I could ask for one, I didn't get one, I could ask for it if you want to, or develop one. But it was, the grid I got is based upon all the research that she did put into it. But if you want it, I can.
But you said the retention bonus was mentioned, but there's no,
Yes, it was,
No line
that
item.
was something I discussed with her as part of this entire implementation plan. So it wasn't just something that I came up with out of nowhere, that's something we discussed to help the parity.
Any other questions on the budget? Okay.
So is there a kind of nod of heads or not to be able to?
No, I think you're going, I don't think there's anything that's gonna change. So you,
I think we said this last year when we voted on the budget, that in the past, we've done some workshops about specific cost categories. And I understand everything's through the roof right now, but I'm still kind of back in that position where I was last year and the year before, where I think if we, and yes, it's on us to do that research and ask the questions and make the decision. So I guess I'm not asking the board to do anything, but I personally think that we're kind of missing a step in the budget process for volunteers, so it is what it is. I'm not fully always the most confident when we see these budgets as, in terms of if, do we as a board really support every single thing, all the major, cost centers, what we're looking at
Well,
here.
it's where you're gonna trust the employees that are
Yeah.
touching it.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're gonna move on then. The CEI second opinion.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to put eyes on this. CEI was ultimately hired, I think as you all know, by the Lake Auburn Watershed Protection Commission to come up with a review of the FBE environmental report that the city of Auburn commandeered. So in your packet is a draft of their findings. There are actually 3 documents. One is a memorandum, which is sort of a overall view. The second document is sort of the same thing, only with more detail. Third document is the answering specifically some of the questions that were raised as part of the RFP. This was given to the commission. They did look at it at the November 9th meeting. They decided to go back, as part of this RFP, CEI was tasked with coming up with a recommendation, but then coming back for one Zoom meeting and then taking final comments and coming back with a final document. So I believe at the December 7th, the commission is going to have a workshop to discuss this, and I believe that the consultant from CEI will be there via Zoom to answer any questions, and then they will come up with a final document. I thought that the work they did was very good. There were a lot of pertinent information in there. And I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but I do believe once the board has come back with a final memo, they'll bring it back to you folks with some sort of recommendation. But this time, I'm not sure exactly what that's gonna be, but I think it would be a good thing if you all had a chance to read this, and if you had any specific questions, make sure that you ask them. And I would encourage you to actually go to the December 7th meeting that the commission's had. Be a good chance to.
What time is that meeting?
3:30.
3:30.
Okay, thank you. City council resolved. I'm not sure why this is on here.
Well, I wanted to make sure that you saw this as a board. I went through this. There was something that I wanted to specifically bring to your attention that caught my eye. You know, the resolve seemed pretty straightforward, not allowing any, it was reduction of the income standard in the ag zone. And I know this is a huge political hot potato that the city's looking at. My concern specifically, obviously, is how this impacts the watershed. There was a particular thing within the resolve. This went down to this is being sent down to the planning board to bring a recommendation back to the council. And looking at this resolve, again, I don't know if you all have it in front of you, but the bottom of the page, one of the whereas is the last one on the first page. Whereas the Lake Auburn watershed requires conservation measures to protect Lake Auburn, and therefore the greater good supersedes the individual's economic benefits. And what follows is what I have caught my eye, got a concern with. It says, unless those within the watershed petition the planning board directly for a zone change and can demonstrate that any development will not negatively impact the region's primary source of drinking water. On its face value, it sounds okay, but by the same token, I think it gives a lot of authority to the planning board to bypass the existing zoning ordinance. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. My recommendation is to strike out that last phrase within there. I know that if you look at the actual order itself, it does go over the fact that you're eliminating the Lake Auburn watershed overlay from anything that's in this, which is good. But I just thought the resolve kind of contradicted that.
I understand that last one has to do with the charter in the city of Auburn, which says that anybody can petition the planning board to change any ordinance within the city.
That's in the charter.
It's in their charter. So we'd have to ask the city of Auburn to change their charter and not allow anybody to petition the planning board to build anything. I mean, they can, regardless if it's for or against anything. Now, the planning board is supposed to go by law, and they're supposed to make decisions based on ordinances and laws and all that kind of thing. But I thought that we couldn't stop that whereas from happening.
But I didn't see any need to. The way it was specifically pointed out almost made it look like you are correct. I guess anyone could do that, but I thought the way this was worded kind of gives the planning board the authority to make that change.
No, they don't. They can make recommendations based on the basic laws or whatever is going on at the time. And if there's a watershed protection within the watershed, they can't say, well, we can override that protection, you can do it without everybody's approval. I think it'd have to take quite a lot.
We're not talking about in the watershed.
Well, that's what Sid is implying, that somebody in the watershed could petition the planning board to do
It
something.
didn't say it in the order either.
Right. It didn't say it in the order.
Didn't say it in the order.
It's in the resolve.
So the resolve is just
I just didn't see any
non-binding.
need. I didn't see any need to have that in there, and I thought that was a. It seemed like a. I don't know if it was an oversight, but it just seemed like something. It didn't look
Yeah.
right.
Well, in the order itself, it was changed, right?
Yes.
So when the actual order went to planning board, it didn't have to say. I knew that there was something that happened after this.
So I think it's a good point, I think we ought to pay attention to it, but it's not a binding document.
Yeah, and we'd also have to find some way to petition the city to change their charter that says, no, you can't petition. It's the planning board to change an ordinance.
It just seemed that, well, anyway. I
Yeah,
just wanted to-
got it, point taken, thank you. It's getting late, so I want to continue on. Personnel policy amendment, this is an important one, so.
Yeah, this was something I brought up to the sewer trustees last night. There was a request from an employee, in our personnel policy manual, it's not specifically addressed, so I wanted to bring it up. I did get the request for considering paid maternity leave. It's something that we don't have currently in the policy manual. I did check with our HR consultant, ran that by her, and she said ironically, a lot of specifically Maine water districts are looking at that right now. It's been requested. Her bottom line recommendation for us was to grant 4 weeks of paid maternity leave. And that would run concurrently with the Family Medical Leave Act, the FMLA, where you're currently allowed 12 weeks under FMLA. It's unpaid, but that would count
We're going to
against the
approve
FMLA.
4 weeks of that is paid, so that's the ask.
Yeah.
And that pay will be
Does
only for the
anyone-
person who's the child's mother.
Correct.
The child, person who bears the
It's
child.
maternity,
is-
not
maternity.
paternity.
I know, but I want to make sure that we all understood that, it's just maternity.
Maternity.
Right.
Yeah.
So the sewer trustees did approve it last night, but I wanted
So
to bring it by this
that's
board.
the ask.
I think that's fair.
Do we have you want to have a motion to add 4 weeks to,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve 4 weeks maternity leave
In our policy.
in our policy.
Paid maternity.
Paid maternity.
I'll second that. Okay,
And
any other
also,
discussion?
I'll just like to make sure we see that in how it's gonna be written in the policy manual, so we'll
Yep.
see a copy of that page once it's in there, so we know. And then when it's effective, not retroactive, but rather effective the day of today.
Going forward.
Yeah, no problem.
All in favor?
Did somebody second that?
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
seconded.
Jason,
Dan did.
oh, Dan, okay, sorry.
All right, that was good, and we got the intake extension project.
Yep, just an update on that, we did meet as a group on November 1st with a consultant, and I've been in touch with another one as well. We are developing that request for proposals to go out. It's not finalized yet. In speaking with the consultant that we did talk with, that is going to require a full, a full year of data analysis to find out the specific water quality parameters where we might want to put an intake. We need dissolved oxygen readings, we need turbidity readings, temperature readings, and we'd like to go through a full cycle to make sure that it's going to be feasible.
Be better.
Yeah, so the bottom line is, we are still working on that RFP, it's almost ready to go.
Excellent.
I am working with Lewiston as well, so we're.
What's their feeling? Are they willing to,
They're on a different budget cycle than we are, so that might take a little massaging, but it's something that they're interested in as well. So we do have some specific consultants that we would like to send it to, and then also get it out to the general community as well. So it's moving along.
and now while we talk about this, I know.
Go ahead, you gotta go, I don't think we got anything else.
Sorry, you guys, I have another meeting to get to.
While we're talking about this is another one of those capital projects, and you talk about cost apportionment. And if you have been talking to Lewiston and you've told them, hey, it's 50/50, don't worry about the cost because it's 50/50, I think we still gotta discuss that.
We haven't got to that point yet, that's,
Because there was a resolution from us that said any new projects
Right, new capital projects
will be
going
based on
forward.
cost apportionment. So we've already made that statement.
When we met, I joked with Kevin, I said, you know you're paying for 60% of those, right?
Well, you did,
And he smiled.
thank you. That's all I want to know, is make
We
sure.
didn't, we didn't talk specifics.
No, but I mean, just
60% of the
idea.
year average.
I was joking, but I did say it.
All right,
Good, that's good,
That's
that's a
good.
good
I
comment.
didn't
Okay,
expect the hard act.
good, can we, yep, thank you. District engineer search?
I can take that one, Mike?
Yeah, we're advertising, we've got it on Indeed, we've got it on ZipRecruiter, we've got it on Maine Water Utilities, we've got it on Maine Municipal, we've sent it, put it on Facebook, we've got it out there.
Yeah.
I do have a few contacts and with maybe some recruiters. We may have to get to that if we don't get any good responses here. I'll worry about that a little bit more as we get into December, but I don't want to see this go too long. I'd like to get this going so our transition can go smooth. So, but it's out there and we'll
I'll
evaluate
give
them
you
as
the
they come in.
information we talked about
Okay,
too, so
thank
we
you.
can get some folks that specialize in finding professionals.
And we said that we wouldn't have a problem, I guess, if we had somebody that was an engineer but no real experience, we could train them, or
We're just gonna have to evaluate that as they come
if we can't
in.
find somebody that's
Yeah,
got
we
both,
gotta,
we'll wing
yeah,
it.
that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Because an engineer, I think, a smart enough person could pick up on it in a relatively short.
And they need to be a good fit with the,
Yeah, right.
Okay. Trustee open session, anybody have anything?
Oh, and we have other alternate sources, you have?
Yeah, just one quick update. Gonna be checking in with the EPA Region 1 to find out what alternative water sources are already going on in the country, including an updated list of waivered water systems. So we'll know like who came off the list and maybe what they did, if they just went to filtration, if they did ground wells. So we're looking into that right now. Other than that, we haven't met, but we'll have a better update for the next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you, thanks for pointing that out, Andy.
And then
Now-
last thing, open session, I just have one thing.
Yep.
Anybody else? Just for the future, I'd like to revisit cooperation with the city. I think they've helped us a lot. We could look into that again to see if there are any things that we could be working together on. I know we visited this a few years ago.
City of Auburn?
It was hard to find, yeah, City of Auburn, Public Works, equipment, people, is there any common ground?
That was, like you said, that was looked at pretty extensively. I think I've got some reports we can start off with.
And at that
Last
time,
we looked
though,
at it.
City of Auburn didn't want to cooperate. Because I got involved in that discussion, and I found the pushback was unbelievable. Auburn didn't want to do anything. No, we haven't got enough people as it is, we don't want to help out, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping the climate's a little better now so that it can be more of a
You'd
two-way.
be surprised how well we're actually working together now.
Actually, working
We're
well.
doing several projects this week together, actually.
Yeah. That's noted, but,
Yeah, I mean, just
and I
looking
think that,
forward.
so
to
let's,
this.
yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Trustees, open session? Okay, motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Yeah, second? Second. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies?
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mike. Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Tanya.